Moving on to new criticism of the Biden administration's so-called Disinformation Board, Senator Tom Cotton tweeting, "The federal government has no business creating a Ministry of Truth." Senator Marco Rubio, "Nothing else we are working on will matter if we don't put an end to Biden's Ministry of Truth." Senator Marsha Blackburn, "This goes against everything our country stands for." And we're learning more about the new disinformation czarina, Nina Jankowicz, who apparently spends a great deal of her time creating TikTok jingles.
Information laundering is really quite ferocious. It's when a huckster takes some lies and makes them sound precocious by saying them in Congress or a mainstream outlet. So disinformation's origins are slightly less atrocious. It's how you hide a little lie. It's how you hide a little lie. It's how you hide a little lie.
Jimmy Failla, this chick is so absurd that it almost seems like this is some sort of ruse or red herring to prevent us from talking about everything else that's horrible going on in this country.
Yo, she looks like she's auditioning for a reality show called America's Got Issues. Who let this insane person in front of a camera, let alone running a disinformation board? I mean, what's next? Are we going to put Hunter Biden in charge of the DEA? This woman is not qualified. This is bananas. And I just want to make sure that we make the point that when the Democrats say they're fighting disinformation, that's how they're spreading it. Nina Jankowicz did what? She said Hunter Biden was disinformation. We shouldn't be talking about this story, and this is why so many Republicans are outraged about the idea of this Ministry of Truth, is because it's actually used to lie. Clever branding, but I don't think anybody's falling for it after that ridiculous video.
Right. If the government is trying to stop free Americans from saying things that people in government don't like, Anita Vogel, that kind of sounds sort of like a violation of the First Amendment.
Yeah, it really does dig in. And, you know, back to that video for just a moment, though, it really feels so unhinged to me. I'm troubled they couldn't find someone else for the job. She doesn't look like a serious person. And then, as Jimmy pointed out, the Disinformation Board comes to us from the same people who pushed the Russian collusion hoax and labeled the Hunter Biden laptop story as disinformation. So to me, the board starts out with zero credibility. I don't think it's going to last.
John, I want you to listen to what Jen Psaki had to say, trying her level best to defend this Disinformation Board. Listen to this.
It sounds like the objective of the board is to prevent disinformation and misinformation from traveling around the country in a range of communities. I'm not sure who opposes that effort.
Giano, I'm not sure who opposes that effort. How about everybody who cares about the Constitution and doesn't want scary Poppins over here deciding what they can and can't say? Or, again, she was called the Hunter Biden laptop what Trump disinformation product, Trump campaign product.
That's right, and I agree fully with all the points of view that was shared in this block here. But I'll tell you, this woman is just about as serious as my cousin Bebe, who says he wants to be a Harvard law professor, but he hasn't finished his GED from 20 years ago. This is the level of insanity.
He wants to go to Harvard State, Giano, Harvard State.
Well, that he can do, but Harvard law, no. So, you know, it's just really interesting to me that the Democrats are always the ones who claim to be presenting facts. And they're not the ones that are presenting facts. We talk about the intelligence officials who said it was disinformation, as you guys have mentioned. We talk about the fact that even Joe Biden, when he said that he wasn't going to leave any Americans behind in Afghanistan, that was disinformation. Are they going to go against their own people on disinformation, or is this to level the playing field because Elon Musk is now going to make Twitter a free speech zone? And that's the question that we all need to be asking ourselves. They, the Democrats, those on the left, big tech, and the media, once they see an opening, they try to seize it immediately and try to reverse course on, say, for example, the Twitter issue. So they now want to have a way to say, no, Twitter, you're wrong. This is disinformation. Since you won't put a label on it, we will.
Jimmy Failla, please don't sing. Let me just say that. But this, I do think that this is an example of Joe Biden being an absentee president. where you've got Ron Klain clearly making a lot of these decisions. And even more egregious is the fact that none of this ran through Congress at all. And they clearly were that, and that reasonable Democrats surely can't be on board with this.
No, there's no way. What this really exposes is the weakness of this administration's leadership, and that they're not confident enough in their ability to sell their ideas, that they'd rather just stifle any type of debate, dissent, or, you know, objective criticism of what they're doing with this administration, which is running the country into the ground, Dagan. This is a mess. But the thing I keep coming back to is what you said. This is not who Joe Biden was his whole life. Joe Biden as a president is the equivalent of the elderly relative who has dietary restrictions. You ever gone out to dinner with Grandpa, and Grandpa's like, I'll have the lasagna. But before the waiter can leave the table, you have to grab him and be like, Grandpa can't have cheese. Bring him the chicken. He won't know the difference. That's Biden. Biden ran for president on I'll have the moderation. And then AOC and Pelosi grabbed the waiter and was like, Grandpa can't have the moderation. Bring him the bacon-wrapped socialism instead. He won't know the difference. And here we are.
Yeah.
And
we're laughing, but it's not funny. It's scary.
No. Yeah, it is.
It's sad also. It's very sad, you know.
And Dagan, if I may, I want to know, what is a reasonable Democrat these days? Because when you get people like Joe Manchin who speaks out, they really want to push him out of the party. They don't want him to be a Democrat. Bill Maher calling Democrats out on their mess. They don't want him to be a part of the party anymore. The Democratic Party is now the party of the extreme. Just like Elon Musk put out that tweet showing that in 2008 where he was, 2012, and now conservatives are bringing more folks to the right than any Democrat ever could.
Yeah, what am I talking about? That there's somehow reasonable Democrats out there, that people who are, that most Democrats should not be on board with this. Because as David Harsanyi from the National Post, the National Review wrote, he was talking about, he said, these are the same people who have said that the $3.5 trillion spending bill costs $0, that showing an ID is tantamount to Jim Crow 2.0, and that your sex relies entirely on your perception. So they're going to sort out the accuracy of rhetoric.
That's it.
So I'll just leave it at that.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.